Hey everyone, this is Phoenix, and just doing a quick video to go through what all is included in the Phinix add-on-powered UI. This isn't so much an independent UI as it is a configuration for a whole bunch of add-ons that collectively make up this layout for a UI. So the goal here is, because this is an Elder Scrolls game, you want, well, at least I want, um, to keep as much of the unnecessary information away as possible. But because it is an MMO and there's group components and there is competitiveness involved in the PvP aspects and the leaderboard aspects, you do really want to have access to some information, just to optimize your playstyle, or even just to kind of see how you're doing. So the emphasis here is on providing necessary information but not cluttering things up. And as you can see, just the general layout, there's a few things that will strike you right off. There is a mini-map, and I've configured this as Firakine's mini-map, but I have actually configured it to be as resource-friendly as it can be. I've even actually put a distance filter, so pins are actually hidden at a distance just past the viewable edge of this to optimize it as much as possible. This whole layout gives basically no performance hit. So it's really you can install a lot of other add-ons if you like Master Merchant, big bulk bloated add-ons that have these huge databases that do slow things down after a while, but I don't personally use them, and they're definitely not included with this. So basically what this is designed to do is, like I said, give you information. The main information it gives you is the mini-map. Passives will actually show up as icons with their timers and information on a pop-up. Your health, magic, and stamina bars will be auto-hidden. They will show up, and they are designed to be aesthetic, but they will be auto hidden when they're full and you're out of combat. If you are in combat, they will always show. So that is just for immersion. The ability bar, actually, you can go into if you want the settings in the game itself and set that to automatic, which will basically hide that as well, unless you're in combat or if you mouse over something that's hostile. Personally, I just like to leave that to always show, but that's up to you. I will go over in just a second the game settings for the actual game itself that you will want to enable with this interface, but certain things like that are just sort of up to you. The main thing that you'll notice is the buffs. I have redesigned this a bit so that the buff tracking isn't in the middle of your screen anymore. Main reason is because in dungeons and trial type environments where you have a lot of buffs from a lot of people, the list of buffs you have active can get pretty big, and having it in the middle of the screen is just really not an option. It just covers too much of the action and stuff going on. So what I've done is I've actually lined them up. This uses Surrender. The health, magic, and stamina bars are Azura. The buffs are Foundry Tactical, and they will actually line up on this part of the screen over here now. And that's nice because I don't have any quests right now, but there is a quest tracker included with this, and it auto hides when you go into combat. And these buffs will stack in this space all the way up to here. And basically that keeps them out of the middle of the screen, but still gives you access to seeing what's going on and when they're going to expire at a glance, which is really handy. So that's that. And there's the toolbar at the top. It's got the current real world time. You're paying the zone, your level, or your champion points if you're max level, and your progress towards the next. The currently filled slots out of the total maximum bag slots, which is color coded by how close to full it is. Your total gold. You can set it up to do a lot of other things. For example, research timers. We'll show you the time until until a research slot is available for this particular thing. So just handy information at a glance. There is a toggle that you can set in your controls for the compass. So that is actually under Wicked's full immersion. So if you set a toggle for turn on off, you can actually hit that button and show and hide the compass if you do want to use that. So it isn't permanently hidden. You can actually just keybind it. The map is set up with destinations, lore books, and sky shards. I've already collected all the sky shards and lore books on this character. I actually don't think there's any zone where I haven't, unfortunately. But you would see icons for lore books and for sky shards if you actually haven't discovered any on the character that you're currently on. And the cool thing about destinations is it shows a lot of interesting, like, vampire and werewolf spawns. Places you haven't been will actually show up with like a faded out grayish, there's not really many places I haven't been on. Here we go. Like here, normally in the game you wouldn't see stuff that you hadn't at least, you know, been to. Like if you had physically walked to this place and discovered it, it would look like this. White border, black background, black signifying you hadn't completed all the objectives, so there's still quests or something. Or here, like you have completed it and it's all white. But if you hadn't actually physically walked someplace and discovered it, they normally wouldn't show up. But the undiscovered add-on will actually show them in a sort of dimmed out black, so you know there's something there. That makes exploration really handy to make sure that you actually visit all the places that there are quests and stuff to do. So very handy, and also the sky shards and the lore books. It also shows achievements, and I don't know if there's any I haven't done on this character. But you'll see, like for Mike, for the I Like Mike achievement, you'll see a little circle with his face. Here's the werewolf shrine and the vampire shrine, places where they spawn. The Undaunted thing where you have to buy someone a drink will show up. All those little roadside things where you light the person's fire or you accost their merchant, all that stuff will show you where they are until you've actually completed them to help you get map completion. So also is the coordinates. It will show you the physical coordinates of where you are and where your cursor is at. That's handy if like an add-on author is collecting that information of where something is. You can actually give them the actual coordinates. So that's helpful. And inventory wise, show motifs I've set up to have the icons positioned in such a way that they it's laid out nicely. You have still the columns, but there's enough room for the names. And basically this is showing you the style of, you know, any armor or weapon that has a style. You will actually be able to see at a glance what it is. If you mouse over it, it'll tell you. Like I didn't know that was a Nakaviri symbol, but that's handy to have as well. And also the ability to sort by subcategories, advanced filters, I've included because it's just it's almost a necessary feature. Like see only heavy armor, see only medium armor. Very cool to have. So that also is there as well. Totally improves the interface for the inventory. Lots of little tweaks. Like you can see here, it has the actual percent of damage of spell types and physical types that my current resistance level is going to block. So without buffs up, I'm currently blocking 26% roughly of spell damage. So little things like that, the total number of sky shards that you have, and the number you have in each category, and the level that your category is at. Just little things that add more to, you know, the information that you can see. You know, the experience numbers, and you don't really notice it. There's no performance hit, but it does improve the layout. And then, of course, I haven't included all the bells and whistles from Foundry Tactical, but I do have the combat meter, which shows how long you've been in combat, your DPS and your heals per second, and you can keybind showing the damage summary after a fight. I don't actually have it keybound on this character, but if you go into your controls and find Foundry Tactical, it's probably down at the bottom somewhere. There it is. You can toggle the combat log. I think I usually set it to that. And basically it will, oh, not the combat log, the damage report. That's what it is. There we go. So it will show you a breakdown of the damage and healing for the fight. So if I had a fight and there was data collected, I could expand this. It would show my total DPS for the fight and break down the different abilities that I had used, um, and show the damage, the percent of my total damage that they had done. So for example, if I go over here um, and kill these mud crabs, make sure I hit them with at least one or two things. Once the combat is over, I can hit that button and expand this. It's going to show the total DPS. It's going to show what each ability did, whether they crit or not. So that's really cool. It kind of lets you know what your damaging abilities are and helps you to optimize. This is not shared by default with other group members or anything. There is an option in Foundry Tactical to share that information, but that's totally up to you. And then also I've got Thief's Knapsack up here, which is cool for Thieves Guild. It tells you if you were to sell all the stolen things currently in your inventory, how much money you would make. It tells you the total number of stolen things you have, and the total remaining sales and launders at the fence for the day, and a timer of when the fence interaction will reset. And if you get a bounty, it will actually show the bounty here, and next to that it will show the timer for that bounty to run out. So all the information you need about your justice system status. I have integrated my chat window manager thing, which is just the ability to keybind showing and hiding the chat, and it will remember that if you log out, if it was minimized or not. Also puts this button here to reload the UI. If you hold down shift and click that, it will clear the current chat. And also I've implemented where if you type /clear, like in other games, it will actually clear the chat. So that's just a kind of a handy thing to have to keep things from being too cluttered. And so that's the basic layout. The health, magic, and stamina, like I said, always show in combat. So if I enter well, mud crabs just don't live long enough to even be a good example, do they? Especially when they're level 42. But they'll always show in combat, and if you put a damage over time on something, those icons of your current dots on your target will show up here above your health bar. And the reason is so you can easily keep eye on your health and also on the debuffs you're putting on your target. If you look at the target information that you get, it's really comprehensive. You can actually at a glance see the buffs that people have, their alliance, whether they're a veteran and their level, their title if they have one, their PvP rank icon, and their class icon on the left. But just being able to see the buffs that they have, you can see if they're a werewolf, if they're a vampire, so all kinds of cool information. And that is Surrender for the buffs, and then Azura for the actual bar itself. So that's the general layout of the UI. It's really lightweight. There's not a lot of stuff flying around. I did want to show you really quick the game settings that you want to actually enable in order to get the most out of this. There's a couple that you really do want to set up, and they are mainly the auto looting. You want to turn auto loot on because it does track loot over here on the left. It will actually track the gold you get, the experience you get, everything that the game's loot tracker will track. Plus, you know, it has extra features like if you're selling multiple things, it will actually tally up the total gold. So, but when you turn on auto loot, make sure you actually leave auto loot stolen items off. That way, if you click on, say, a container in a bank that has stolen items in it, it won't automatically try and loot those and give you a bounty if you're not hidden. So turn auto loot on, but turn this off. And then I turn the tutorials off just because I don't need to see that anymore. The only other things that are really important to make sure is health bars. Make sure this is set to on. Self, I usually leave off because I don't need to see my health bar over my head all the time. Friendly NPCs, I don't really need to see. But friendly players, I like to see a health bar above their head if it's not full. This is the main one that's important, enemy NPCs. You want to make sure that you have the ability to see the bars of the enemies you're fighting when they're not full. That way you know which ones are almost dead, which ones you can execute, which ones are still full health, which ones are healing. So make sure that is on, and then enemy players, same thing. Um, and the other thing that's really important is because I no longer include, I used to use Combat Cloud for floating battle text, but this patch, well, since Update 6, ZeniMax has actually implemented their own really cool floating combat text. I really like it. I think it's done really well. It's simple, but the text appears above the thing that's actually taking the damage. Um, it's really good. So I mean, I don't really see the need to use another add-on. So I actually enable that, and that's under the interface. So you want to turn on combat text, and basically I turn all the options on except damage my pets are taking. I don't really need to see that, but you can turn that on as well, and it appears at your pet, so it's not really confusing. All the damage and healing values, incoming and outgoing, they actually appear at the thing that's taking or doing the damage. So it's not really too cluttered. It's really you can just turn them all on. And then alliance indicators. I only ever really need to see the alliance icon above the heads of my enemies. That way I know at a glance if they're friendlies, because they don't have an icon. So that's kind of up to you. The only thing that's really important is the battle text, the health bars, and the auto loot. Other than that, the add-ons handle everything. So all of the settings for the add-ons individually can be tweaked if you go into add-on settings. And basically all the different add-ons have their own options, and you can further tweak them from what I've set up if you want by going into any one of these and doing so. If you did download the settings menu add-on, Votan's settings menu, I do recommend going in here and setting your Lua memory to 512. Unless you have Master Merchant, which you have to bump that up even higher, and you might use like Shisu's Lua memory, which I don't personally use because you have to relog, and it has, I've had some issues with it, but it supposedly automatically adjusts your Lua memory limit based on how much the add-ons that you have loaded are actually needing. But you really will never need, even, I mean, look at this, with all the add-ons from this interface loaded, it's only using 46 megs, which is nothing. The game's default limit is 128, so it wouldn't even be half of the game's default Lua limit. I just put it up to 512 just in case you have add-ons that are gathering data progressively. It will actually be plenty of a buffer without limiting your system RAM severely. So, but all of the options for all of the add-ons can be tweaked to your personal preference. So that is where that is. And then also, if you go under controls, any add-ons that have key bindings will actually have a subheading underneath the default controls where you can set keybinds for them. Like, for example, it's not included with the UI, but if you chose to use my master recipe list, you could keybind showing and hiding the window here under the default controls. So it'll actually let you just put a keybind to something and have it come up, and that's integrated with the game's default controls. So that's pretty much the general idea. Let's see, if I go into combat really here, you can see what the combat text kind of looks like. So those are crits. Things that show up in bold are crits. There's the damage hitting me is the red that you saw there. I don't have any heals going, or you would see heals on the right side of me moving down that were green. And then normal hits are white, dots are orange, crits are bold, and so it's really, I think, an elegant combat text. And as you saw there on the left-hand side, things that you loot will actually show up. So let's see. Like, I think I'm glitched or something right now. But if you loot something, it shows up on the left-hand side there and tells you what it is. So yeah, that's the interface in a nutshell. And if you look at the other video, it will actually show you how to get that installed and configured, and then you can further configure it as you see fit. So if you have any questions or comments, leave them here or on the forum thread, and I will do my best to answer. And I hope you enjoy. Have fun.